Renzel Dashington, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I
A
love
pleasure.
your Instagram, your perspective, what you have to say. I'm sorry that you're here under these circumstances. Uh,
I usually am.
yeah, that's terrible. I'm sorry. Um, so Dardia Joseph from the legal clinic in Saint Michel, she speaks about the continuum of racism. Like I tried to ask her, like, well, what's the typical profile of somebody who gets profiled? And she
Mhm.
said, there's no typical profile.
Mm-mm,
From the time you're 12 to the time you're an elderly person, the police see you as a threat.
mhm.
Is that something you've experienced? Does that kind of match with your perspective?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm a black man, big voice. Since I was young, I was in places where there weren't a lot of black people to start. I used to be a downtown rat, just and you stand out. And certain white men with a gun and badge feel like it's their place to know who you are, why you're there, and it's their business to make sure you're not there to disturb the others like them.
The That feeling of like,
That being said,
yeah,
you're in a game of cat and mouse from the age of 10, 12. You just don't know about it. You don't know about it. They can tell you about it, but it only comes later when you understand it. That you're the mouse in the cat and mouse game where the cat has a gun and the power. It's particular.
does that does that is something you feel, or is it something that at some point, like, you feel it for a while, you don't know how to put a name on it, and then one day you realize, oh, this is what it is?
Yes, I guess that'd be the simplest way to say it because your parents will tell you about something. Your friends will tell you about some things. Your cousins, your older cousins, trying to prepare you for certain things. But you often see in the videos online, it starts when things get a little crazy, and you hear certain people say, "But what happened before?" Which I understand mentally. But what happened before is I thought I was free, and someone entered my bubble while I was free. And I didn't know I wasn't free until this person entered my bubble because I was living freely, doing very legal things, but wearing a skin that is seen as a dangerous thing. So this person comes in my bubble and now changes my life, maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for many years. But I go through this time and time again, and one day it goes so far that at least for myself, where I don't have a choice anymore to see it as that. For some people, it's the moment they understand that if they acted a little bit differently, their whole life is going to change, whether it's being in jail or understanding they might have died. And that happens very early on. I was being, I've had my driver's license since I was 16 years old. I've been profiled a minimum of 5 times a year average for the last 30 years. Do you imagine how crazy that is?
I don't like when the cops talk to me in general. I can't imagine 5 encounters a year where you're kind of degraded and forced to justify why you exist.
That's a
No.
low average, 5 a year.
Yeah. No, a guy the other night said it was 40 times a year.
Hmm.
And I believe that. I mean, I've seen horrible things.
So, what's happening right now for a lot of us, some violence that a lot of marginalized people have been trying to explain is white people are starting to believe this is real. And I feel like the news has been very white centered in on one end people being like, "Oh my god, this really exists." And marginalized aware people fighting with the other like that's what I'm seeing in the media. Like the white perspective of this news.
Yeah.
And what cements it for me is that what we've been reporting is things that are happening to people, yet we have no idea who those people are or look like.
Yeah.
So the prime minister has not said anything to, for, and about the victims to tell them that we see you, we understand, and here's what's going to happen in order for this not to happen again. No level of government has taken that approach, and the news either, of asking of the responsible people, why haven't you? Because the people of Montréal-Nord media-wise, we're communicating that it's a place where it's difficult to live.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask individuals, they will tell you the person I'm most afraid of is the police.
Yeah.
Right? So those people have been talking about this for years now. Now you're finally, oh my God, it's so bad that I hear it finally, but no one's saying, I'm sorry for not acknowledging the
Yeah.
last 30 years.
It's like people already want to move past it. Like we've seen it. Oh God,
Absolutely.
I don't want to. You were talking about something that okay. So Dalzia Joseph from the legal clinic. I wrote this down. I think it's like it blew my mind. And again, she talks about this continuum of racism that is informed by kind of just years of stereotypes and how we see Black people. And anyways, here's what she said.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or an elderly or an orderly at the hospital.
Mhm.
If the assumption is that someone is more dangerous because you're Black, if the assumption that someone is more likely to be a criminal because they're Black, and if the assumption that somebody is physically stronger because they're Black, you're more likely, obviously, to want to watch those people closer. Those people will be given less dignity in their interactions with police. They will be arrested with more overwhelming force. These people will be given less dignity in their interactions with police. They will be arrested with more overwhelming force, with less respect for their body.
Mhm.
Those locks, they weren't cut out with scissors. They were ripped out. You don't do that to somebody when you respect their humanity.
Mhm.
I've just unpacked a lot here, but like, how do you respond to that?
That she's right. She's right that we live in a society where people with Black skin are being treated differently. And we're very, very far from a place where we can have those conversations. Like what she said about the dreads being pulled out of someone's hair. I believe that if this was in war, it's a crime de guerre
Yeah.
to rip out someone's hair.
I mean, it's torture.
It's a part of their body.
Yeah.
It's the Geneva Convention, I believe, recognizes hair as a part of your body. For us Black people, it's not a new image for a white person in a position of authority to treat our body as if they could dispose of any part of it. Like it's difficult to have the conversation even with you who understands because your question starts from a very white perspective. We are not surprised at any of this. Not that we knew they were doing it, more so that how we've experienced them. This is just a symptom of the illness we've been talking to you about. So, like, I as a comedian, I like to. So there's a lot of homophobia in the police, but there's also a lot of how do you call them? Gay people who are not living their truth, or
Yeah, you're in the
closeted
closet,
gays,
yeah.
right? As a Black man, the worst thing that could happen to me is to walk into a alleyway with two closeted gay guys sucking each other's dick who happen to be cops in uniform. I may not leave there alive. And when they tell the people what happened, their story is the only one that matters.
Yeah.
When I keep saying we're not talking about the people, we're also not talking about 30 years of people in the neighborhood, some of which have been put into the system with what it cost financially, mentally for them and their families to be unable to elevate themselves socially. They've done that to a whole neighborhood, and we keep talking about the 16 white men.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, and none of we probably wouldn't know any of this. Us, meaning like people who don't live in the borough. Were it not for the cops who said, because people have been saying it for decades, right? We have these commissions that go all the way back to 1988 that say, look, the police disproportionately discriminate against Black people. But the needle only ever moves when it's a cop that says what everyone's been saying for years. And I mean,
Okay,
yeah, I think
I'll take this from another perspective. What does it say about a society that they found an X amount of human locks of hair of different people, and all those individuals didn't feel they could complain anywhere?
it's an entire branch of the government that we can't trust.
But between when they found out in April, when they tell us in June, and a few days later, if this happened to someone right now, it's still the same. So we're making this news, yeah, sure, about the system, when the system should be an answer to the people's needs and demands. So all of this is a waste of time if we're not starting from the people's needs. There should be this police station, all of it should have been closed. There should be new teams brought in right away. Everyone should have been dispatched somewhere else, because you can't assume that people are doing something so grave and that it's being done in a house, and your first move should be to protect everyone. And just because there might be a doubt, this whole station should have been closed. I think all the conversation we're having, if they don't start by protecting the people, when we're talking on the other hand, about people who have a special relationship with the law. If you are alone with a police officer, you as a white man, he arrests you right now and says you jumped on his back, try to beat him, you will be in jail for a long time. Because you're a white man, they might give you a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. In this station, for many, many years, if we've gotten to the place where they can take people's hair out of their heads, what have they done to instrumentalize the justice system so that they can rule this space the way they want? I don't think they keep talking about young cops. But these young cops have been trained and followed by older cops.
Yeah.
I have someone in my family who had his training. He's a cop today. He had his training in that station. And he said to me, he was with an older officer, and he said, if I passed a car that had 4 black kids or 4 black Arabs in it and I didn't stop it, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. You have to show like loyalty to
dominance.
Yeah.
Dominance over the people. That's the culture we're in. A culture that if you were at McDonald's, you've seen people act bad at McDonald's, but you've never seen a McDonald's employee start beating on a person, because they know that they won't work after that moment.
Yeah.
What's happening in our system, that these people are going that far and they know nothing will happen to them. And think of all these other smaller things they're actually doing that no one's talking about, because it took the cops to complain for the hair to be a problem. Like, we as black people, on est en deuil. What's that in English?
Grief.
We're grieving every day, not because of this. Like, it's another form of grief to have to realize how much the population hasn't believed us. Our cries, or even fuck the cries. The images we all saw.
Yeah.
We've all seen of black bodies getting brutalized, and you have to wonder. So you saw this and thought there was a part of your mind that said there's a justification for that, for every one of those videos. That's what we're grieving right now.
Well, it's 98.5% of the time a racial profiling complaint goes nowhere.
Yes, more than that.
And you're right, more than that. And then 100% of the time, the police are cleared when there's a fatal shooting. So you have this thing where one side is always wrong and the other side is always right. And the side that's always right is the side that has the gun, and it's the side that's doing the profiling.
So, like, as a human being, I want to say first, congratulations to the black people who have been able to keep their composure in this time. And I know certain people think about that stuff, but you should, for those of you who do, count yourself lucky that what we're looking for is justice, not revenge.
Yeah. I mean, there was a moment at the protest the other night where it could have gone sideways. And there's like a palpable, when you hear these stories, like, I can't imagine the anger that would live in my body. And then something almost happened, and the police ended up being forced to walk back and cede the path that had previously been agreed upon. It was this weird kind of power play by the police where they ended up having to back down. I wanted to switch to something that I think is important. The night of the protest, the organizers very wisely just said, media, go to the front, get between us and the cops. And it was effective. They're not going to do anything with that many white cameras there. And then after the march was done, some cops stuck around and started bugging people. And it was like, okay, the cameras aren't around anymore. We're going to put you back in your place. And then even later, you have I don't know if you know the journalist Sacha Wilkie Renzel.
Mm-hmm.
He's been uncovering a lot of really gruesome stuff. He's published
All
some
power to
photos
him, by the way. Yeah.
on his Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and he's broken some great stories, and he's an excellent journalist, and he's a great guy. I really do love him. And after a lot of this reporting and after the protest, he's outside of like a little mini mall in Montréal-Nord, and they're giving him a hard time. They're saying you still have your winter tires on. That's illegal. By the way, that's bullshit.
Avoir aussi une note mise à votre véhicule parce que vous êtes encore sur les pneus d'hiver.
Ok, puis est-ce qu'il y a une loi qui dit qu'après une date, il faut retirer les pneus d'hiver pour mettre des
100%, monsieur.
C'est quoi la date?
C'est quoi la date?
Ben oui.
Là, en ce moment, on est déjà en juin.
Mais moi, je me demande c'est quand
juillet.
la date? C'est quand la date que je devais enlever mes pneus d'hiver?
C'est en mars.
Ok, quelle date
À
en mars?
partir du 17 mars.
On est obligé de retirer nos pneus d'hiver pour mettre des pneus 4 saisons.
Ok, présentement, là.
Oui ou non?
À partir d'une certaine date, oui. Est-ce que j'ai la date? Non. C'est dans mon système.
D'accord.
Ok?
And they just hassle him while he's doing his job, and this is days after these 16 officers were suspended. This is them on their best behavior, and like they didn't do that to me. They didn't do that to all the other journalists. They picked Sacha Wilkie, and I find that pretty fucking brazen by the police to just remind everybody how it works.
Mm-hmm. What was this a surprise for you?
No.
What are we talking about now?
Maybe it's a surprise in the sense that like you would think that they would at least cool it for a week, or at least cool it for like 2 weeks. But I guess it's just so deep. I don't know. I'm revealing my own ignorance of this, right?
And I think I love that because someone else at home can feel normal right now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's, that's your perspective, which I respect, and I appreciate that you're being forthcoming with me. But for me, it wouldn't have. You said it was a good strategy that they do it, that they put the journalists there just because their bodies were in the way, not because the cameras were there. Because we already know cameras don't bother them.
Yeah,
they're just trained not to hit on white people like that. They're not used to it yet.
Yeah,
but they'll get used to it. It's not me. Malcolm X has said, if you let them get trained on us like this, don't be surprised when they start doing the same to you, because that's the only way they know how to work.
Do you think that this, like, we have been going over commissions and recommendations, and since it feels like forever, nothing has changed? There is a racialized woman who is the mayor of Montreal right now. I still don't think anything will change.
I mean, I hope, but I agree with you. Yes.
I mean, it's not that like she's not good enough. It's that, look, it's the system. It's the system. It is in our DNA as a society. This is a branch of our government keeping minorities repressed. Our premier won't even acknowledge the existence of systemic racism, and even if she did, I don't think it would change anything. I wonder at what point will, like, that pushback, I don't know what form it takes, but if you keep denying people justice through the basic mechanisms of justice, they're going to find their own justice. And I don't think they're going to like how people find their own justice. And I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know what the future holds. But I don't think we can tell ourselves anymore, oh, I'm surprised. Like, we know it. I think we all know it. And if we don't acknowledge it, then it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand, like, there is intercultural support, but there are differences. And truth is, if Freddy Villanueva had been a young Haitian boy, the city would have burned. I'm very comfortable seeing that version of it. So it's still possible, and I hope it never happens. I think it's a two-tier problem. The first is not racialized. It's a police problem. I think the police as a tool is society's guard dog.
Yeah.
The old school one that we used to have in backyards. The problem in the current police is that the guard dog thinks he makes the rules.
Yeah.
Thinks he's above the rules. So you as a citizen are trying to enjoy your freedom, and the guard dog says, and that's a real problem. I think that's happening. Absence of, interculturally, interrace. It's happened all over. People are kind of tired of the police not being the nice servant that they're supposed to be. Sure, you deal with some of the worst of the society, but most of your job is helping regular people on their worst day. So, maybe they, it's an image, but maybe they should stop having muscle cars and having minis so that we remind them that they're not above us. That's one thing. And on the other, there's a lot of work to be done to first recognize that in many ways, Black people, although we like to think we're such a great province and we're Canadian, we've been chipping at Black people's humanity, and as a society, as people, as a broad community, we need to find ways to pour back into this humanity, because history has taught us that a better world for Black people is a better world for all people.
Do you have any parting thoughts? I know this is a very short conversation and many more conversations have to happen and much more action has to happen. But is there anything you would want people to walk away with this interview, knowing?
I think something happened in this interview when you acknowledge your own ignorance. And I think there needs to be more of that. I think Black people have gone through a lot of things, and they tend to be sensitive about a lot of stuff, which is understanding. White people, in acknowledging that they're not up to the task or to the understanding, sometimes have the same behavior, and we're not going to go very, very far that way. So I tend to tell people who ask me, people need to be less afraid of saying I'm sorry. Just not no big gesture. Just be like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know. It's something we're all so scared of saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. So I think a world with a little bit more of that might help us in the direction that we need to go to.
Thanks so much for coming over, man.
Thank you for having me.